morning, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, I have a stack right here today.
Of stuff we're going to talk about?
That and responses and people I need to give props to and all kinds of stuff.
Well, I got stuff I want to talk about, too.
Well, that's a good thing. That's why you're here. You're here to talk about stuff.
We're also going to talk to Bobby Lane, hopefully. I think he's fishing with his kids. And Bobby was like, I should be good to go, but I'm out with the kids, and you know how that could go.
Yeah, so hopefully Bobby Lane coming today. All right, let's get some cleanup work done first. I got Mr. Spybait. Do you remember who Mr. Spybait was?
Yeah, he won. Did he win the?
He did.
The iTunes rating.
He did. His
contest.
name is Ernie Williams, and he's from Galt, California.
Very nice.
I've never heard of it. I think it's Northern California.
If he watches a live show, he's got to get up early.
If he watches the live show, I'm sure he's listening to the replay, though.
Your cat is not happy. She's crying. I mean, folks, was today the day we were going to introduce the studio cat, too?
Yeah,
maybe we'll do that later. Anyway, back to Spybait.
All right, so Spybait, a nice little tackle pack and clothing pack will be coming your way. And he actually responded within like the hour after the show ended. I guess his brother called him. So we will get that taken care of and get that shipped out on our off day tomorrow. All right. Cool. A tremendous amount of response, Matthew, from our last show. And a couple people, they were a little bit hot under the collar about, not really hot. They were very opinionated about the whole Jersey thing that I brought up.
Wait, refresh me on what the last Okay, we had that was the show that we had
wow.
Was that the funeral home show?
Yeah, we got into the whole Jersey about Jordan Lee wearing his jersey.
Right.
Yeah. On the local
show. We also got an email with. Did you see that with Kevin Van Dam the last time?
Yeah, I got that right here.
Okay, yeah.
Mark
So I remember. So
dude, you got to get your act together, man.
No, I totally was reminded, but in case you just didn't listen to the last show, we talked about it, and Mark went on. Yeah, I wouldn't call it a rant. I would just call it a discussion.
It wasn't a rant at all.
Why it is so universally acceptable in the sport or activity of bass fishing to when you appear not in a tournament setting for the professional angler to wear his jersey as if a tournament is going to break out. We're talking interviews, appearances, dinner at the steakhouse.
I wouldn't say that. Which reminds me. Okay, and then we'll get back on this, but it is related. I was at Grand Lake last week on spring break.
Yep.
Did not fish. All right, I was there trying to take care of some business and doing some other things, just relaxing. We went to the Rib Crib for dinner one night in Grove.
Yeah.
And it was the night before day one.
So they had the meeting.
And
then everyone went to the Rib Crib.
And then there were a ton of people in the Rib Crib, and guess what they were wearing? Jerseys.
All right, back.
All right, now hang on. I'm not done there. Okay? So my youngest son, AJ, is with us, and he said, Dad, why are these guys wearing tournament jerseys? I am not kidding you. You can ask him anytime you see him. He goes, did the tournament start today? No, son, the tournament starts tomorrow. Then why are they wearing their jerseys? I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. Have no idea.
Looking for that Rib Crib sponsorship.
All right. There were, and I counted them, there were 11 guys in the Rib Crib wearing jerseys. Now, we have never got into the why you wear your jersey to check-in or registration or whatever. It says that in the rules.
Yeah.
It says that in the Costa rules.
I don't know in the Costa, but on the Elite Series it does. In the Elite Series
that's
rules,
because a lot of times they have fan stuff going on.
Okay, so it might say it in the Costa, so I wouldn't.
I want you. That is your homework.
Well, it should be a pretty easy homework to find out.
Seriously, anyway, why would it be required in that?
I don't know. Why is it required at the Elite Series?
I just told you because a lot of times they have fan stuff going on in conjunction with that.
They might have that at the same.
At the Costa?
Yeah, there's a lot of people who fish the Costa. Anyway.
So that is just somebody that is really not connected with what's going on. Ask me why these guys. So anyway, going back, Mark in Minnesota actually sent you and I an email and a clip of when Kevin Van Dam did the car wash at ESPN. And what was Kevin wearing?
He was wearing a collared shirt. Now, I think I zoomed in. I think there were tiny little Oakleys all over that shirt.
There were.
So it was a sponsor deal back then, but it was just a nice collared shirt. He didn't have a hat on. He had his hair slicked back in the pompadour.
Very professional.
The pompadour. Is that called the pompadour look, where you slick it back over the top of your head?
Looked very, very professional. And then an interesting comment from Jay Roberts, who's actually from Ontario, Canada. Says, Mark and Matt, after listening to your last podcast and the discussion about the Bassmaster Classic winner wearing their jersey for interviews, I think it needs to be considered that this may be the only sport where those athletes are depending upon those sponsors to compete and go forward day to day. Professional fishing may be the only sport where you go pro and then they are actually expected to hand over a check to compete. Right. Very interesting take.
Right.
Great job. Love the show. So that seemed to be, and I didn't print. I had like 5 or 6 more that I didn't print off because I knew we didn't have time. But very, very interesting take that a lot of people took on that one. Some agreed with me. Others disagreed, mainly because this is just part of the game and this is how they roll. All right. I see both sides, but come on, guys.
One of these days, I'm going to sneak up into your little upstairs studio in your house, and I'm going to bring that stack of purple and yellow and blue and white jerseys down.
The rainbow
that say
jersey.
Bass Zone on them.
Dude, that was cutting edge.
And I'm going to show people
Now, who was the cowboy, the country
15
western?
different Bass Zone jerseys that you wore back in the day.
That was a Mo Betta shirt.
Do you have a picture of that Chevy Avalanche that you had wrapped when I first met you? Remember, that thing was hideous.
It was pretty bad.
It was bright yellow
that was
and
not my
purple
choice either.
and blue.
Yeah, that was the dealer that wanted to
and,
do that.
I remember you would drive around Norman all the time, and I remember when I said, I was interning for that, I'd just say, that wrapped Avalanche. And they go, you're working for that guy? That's the ugliest wrap I have ever seen. But they knew what it was.
Hey, it served its purpose. That's what they wanted to do. All right. Next up, another email from JK. And I'm not sure what state this is. It's a weird zip code. You know where 73410 is?
No.
He just said the city was Clyde. He lives in Clyde, but he didn't put the state.
Alabama.
Clyde?
I don't know. I'll Google it.
I don't think so.
No,
it's 43410. We can find out where Clyde is from.
Ohio.
It's in Ohio.
Yeah, it's up there by Sandusky.
All right, and this is something that with everything we have going on, I haven't thought of. It says, can you please give us access to the old In the House episodes? Would really like to go back and watch some of them.
Yeah, we can do that.
I didn't even think about that. Is it still out there? Do we still have them?
They got to be on some drive somewhere, don't they? I mean, I know we reran last year. We reran the Jordan and Matt Lee in the dorms, which wasn't in the house.
Yeah.
And we should have Cliff Crochet and Randy Howell, Luke Clausen and Andy Morgan, Skeet, Gerald. Did you ever do Kevin?
Did not do Kevin.
Didn't. Skeet, Gerald. Ken Cook was the first one that we ever did.
Yeah.
Shaw Grigsby is out there available. That is on the site. That was the last one we did. Boyd Duckett is also out there, but you would basically have to create an in-the-house tab. What we've done the past 2 years is we have done one in-the-house each year.
Yeah.
And we'll continue that this year. Not sure who we're going to do this year, but 2 years ago was Duckett. Last year was Shaw Grigsby. So as that comes, we'll do another in-the-house. But I can go back and kind of go through the archives and see if I can't find several of the old school in the houses.
Okay. All right. Going down the list here, the high school All-American team was announced.
Yeah, that was cool.
Have you ever really just went through and looked how they do that, the procedure that they go through and everything? Yes. And I was trying to think, some states had more, and then they had honorable mention. They didn't have like a first team and a second team and then honorable mention. I don't really understand why some states had more than one. Typically, when
more than one honorable mention.
No. Well, some of them had more than one honorable mention, but a lot of them had more than one All-Americans.
Yeah, they had 2, I believe. They picked 2 for each
Let's look
state.
it up. I don't think so, dude.
Some states there might not have been 2. But I know that you go through that process as far as you have to have a specific.
Okay, so they pick.
Yeah, they pick 2 for each state,
and then they may have multiple
honorable mentions.
Yeah, they could 1 up to 4.
But it's a really cool process, and actually,
I agree.
I've actually kind of been on location when they do that tournament, to where they then take the 2 anglers from each state, and then they go through another selection process, and they pick the 12 All-Americans, and then on a day off following the Elite Series, they go out with the Elite Series competitors, have a tournament, and it's really cool to watch them. I know Brandon Polinick fished with the guys last year, and he won, and that was during the day off on the Bass Fest, and Gary Klein did that, and a bunch of the anglers did that. So really cool deal.
Only one thing in glancing and doing a little research on that I would change. Not that it matters, but if you're going to be an All-American, all right, you know what the minimum GPA was?
It was like 2.1.
2.5. I mean, come on. If you can't at least get a 3.0, a B average, you shouldn't be considered to be an All-American. You really shouldn't.
You know, I was a academic All-American.
In hockey, in your club hockey?
Yeah. For the ACHA, I've got a plaque and everything underneath.
I mean, honestly, if you can't achieve 3.0,
maybe they're on different grading scales, so they wanted to make sure. Maybe someone's
it's all on the same grading scale.
Right. C's get degrees. What'd you say? CU at graduation?
CU at graduation.
C's get degrees.
I know, but you're an All-American. You're the cream of the crop. You're at the top.
When in doubt,
what is the
Charlie
number one?
Out.
What is the number one priority? What is the number one priority?
5 alive.
Now I know why your priorities are so screwed up. It's academics, knucklehead.
Oh, okay.
Jeez. All right. More stuff. Then I want to mention, did you see the report that there's actually some legislation taking place in Louisiana by the state to get this ridiculous law of which the guys can't fish in Louisiana now for the Sabine River and any other event for that matter because of this private property versus public waters.
Well, they could still fish in it, but Tripp decided that it was because of what happened in the Opens and the last Elite Series that was there. It's not like they can't fish in there. It's just it takes any of the guesswork out. You had guys who were fishing in an area and then they roll in the tournament and there's a posted do not fish sign there that hadn't been there 12 hours before. Or they get run out on the first day. They have to run through. There's just a lot of gray area and stuff. So Tripp decided, from what I understand, just screw it. No one fishes in Louisiana. We'll just fish in Texas.
Yeah.
So that takes all the guesswork out of it.
But hopefully they'll get that worked out because obviously the history of what has taken place in the state of Louisiana over the years on, the situation with Gary Klein, numerous situations where there's been controversy on this is fishable water, this isn't, this is private land, this isn't, this is private water. No, you can't fish here. Yes, you can fish here. Hey, I fished there yesterday. No, you can't fish here today. So hopefully they will get this whole situation. And bass, obviously, do you know what a pack is? You ever heard of a pack? P-A-C, pack.
Oh, yeah.
What is it?
Like a blood pack?
Oh, my gosh.
Or is that a pact?
A pack.
No.
A political action committee.
Oh, yeah.
A pack. Pack money. They call it pack money.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
All right. Where if you want to get something passed, then you contribute to the pack, and then they try to get that worked out. All right. Next thing. By the way, man, yesterday was crazy in the stock market. Any idea? I'm just throwing you for a loop.
I know that it's been fluctuating. It dropped.
Do you know what happened yesterday, though?
It rebounded.
It did rebound.
About 400 points.
Actually, it was almost 700.
Almost 700.
Okay. That's all right. It's actually up today, too, so quite the surprise. All right. There was a statement by Mark Zona during the Bassmaster Live coverage during the Classic that really captured my attention. And it was right after. What are you looking at?
I wrote that stuff down.
I know, but you're looking like, hey, what is he talking about?
No, I was trying to figure out because I thought those were your notes, and then I said that.
My notes.
No, but I said that looks like my handwriting.
It is your handwriting.
Okay, that's all I was checking. I was trying to figure out what I'd written because I didn't remember writing it.
Zona made the comment on immediately after about how great that Jordan Lee and the fact that he has won back-to-back Classics, how great it is for college anglers.
Right.
All right. And I agree, because the realization that a collegiate angler, if he truly wants to pursue his ability to become a professional angler, the opportunity is out there. It has been proven. All right. So then I started thinking about it. Is this really a good platform for somebody who obviously has went on and graduated and obtained their degree? Is this a good situation for them to fish the opens and then obviously progress through the steps that Jordan Lee has taken? By the way, do you know what his degree's in?
Nope.
Have no idea?
Nope.
How about Matt?
Nope.
No idea?
Nope.
All right. So it got me thinking. And I went back and I thought, okay, let's see from a performance standpoint the current Elite Series field. Because what is Jordan Lee's performance right now in the Bassmaster Classic? He's 2 for 4, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty damn good. 2 for 4. So I said, I wonder what the performance is of the entire Elite Series field in 2018 when you take the total number of tournaments, opens, top 150s back in the 80s and 90s and 2000s and all that stuff and everything. What is the total number of tournaments that have been fished by the entire field? And you went back and you added that up. The number is 13,778.
That is going into 2018. So that's from the start of BASS through the 2017 season, not counting any FLW or outside. These are just bass events.
Purely bass events.
And this is based on the media guide, the official media guide for 2018.
Okay, now do you have your phone handy? All right, pull up the calculator, because we're getting ready to do some fancy ciphering here, Jethro.
I thought I'd already done all the fancy ciphering.
No. All right, because I want to double check it.
Okay.
All right. So 13,778 tournaments have been participated in by the Elite Series field for 2018. Out of those 13,778 events, how many wins? The number is 274. So out of almost 14,000 events, the Elite Series field only has 274 wins. Now, you take out 2 of the highest winning guys on the Elite Series, one being KVD. All right, that number drops down to 13,033 and 235 wins.
I think that's including Clun, too.
That is including Clun. That's without KVD.
So we had the whole field, which
Right.
was which the total wins for the whole field out
Right.
of the nearly 14,000 tournaments was what? 276?
274.
274. Then those numbers are a tad skewed because 15% of those wins are credited to 2 individuals.
Right.
Which is Kevin Van Dam and Rick Clun. Rick Clun with 15, Kevin Van Dam, I believe, with 24.
Right.
So then you take that chunk out, and then you have 107 anglers on the Elite Series who have still fished 13,000 something
Right.
tournaments, but have only combined for how many wins?
235 wins.
235 wins.
Out of 13,033 tournaments that have been fished by the
Right.
Elite Series field. All right, so that works out to what? 1.8%. So take 235 and divide it by 13,033. And I think it comes out to 1.8%. Is that correct?
Yep.
So the likelihood of winning is very, very slim based upon that data. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Well, yeah, there's one winner, and there's over 100 competitors in every tournament. In some cases, there's 250 or 300 when you go back.
All right, so what Jordan Lee has done just in the Classic in 2 years, or in 4 years, in 4 tournaments, he's won 2 of them. Is that probably the most remarkable short-term winning item that has ever taken place in this game? When you look at that statistical data and think about how difficult, you hear these guys talk about it all the time, how difficult it is to win at this level, I think the numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah, now those are 50 angler tournaments that he's won in the Classic both years, 50 52 this year, I think 52 last year.
Yeah.
So the field's a lot smaller, but yeah, that's remarkable because you're also dealing with a higher level of competition in those small, plus the pressure, plus his age at 25 and 26.
Yeah.
So what I think that number really shows you is the, like remember when Derek Remitz came in and he went first and second in his first two tournaments, or won his first tournament. Statistically, that is absolutely insane.
It is.
To come in and win your first one, or to do so well in your first one. Now, I've actually had discussions with established Elite Series pros about how can you be out here for 10, 15 years. You're making a good living. You're sponsored. You've been to all these fisheries, and guys come in and they kick your ass and they win, and you don't have any wins on your resume, or you only have one win on your resume. And I think it's understandable. Now, I've talked to numerous guys, and this is what they had to say. And one I just had this conversation with. He said there's basically 3 ways that you can win a tournament, be successful in the tournaments. He said you have 2 groups of outliers, and then you have a core group of anglers that makes up about 80%. So we'll start with the 80%, the biggest piece of the pie. That's 80% of your anglers. They know all the patterns. They've been around. They're comfortable. They know the lakes. They know how to get the information. They know how to practice. They know how to get things done. The seasonal patterns, they're all going to basically be doing the same thing. Those guys rarely win. They cancel each other out. They're the guys like in the Classic who you talk about, spring waters coming up, last stock in the Cove.
Yeah.
They all freaking know that. They're good. They're the hammers at their home lakes, if you want to use that phrase. The guys who win, they cancel each other out.
Right.
So they're going to be the guys who make the majority of the checks, but they're not going to be the majority of the guys who win. You can go down the list of guys who you know are great anglers. They've been on the cover, but they have 1 or 2 wins.
Right.
Then there's 10% in the other outliers. There's a 10% of the guys who are loners. And this guy used Rojasen as an example. He's a great example of that. They don't listen to the doc talk. They don't really work with anybody. They have a specialty technique or something that they do that's off the radar. And
they're flying solo, basically.
They're flying solo, so they're going to find patterns that the other 80% that are doing the typical random thing aren't going to do. So they might not cash as many checks, or they might, but they're going to have more of a likelihood to win. So you're going to have the outliers that win. In that group of outliers also are the freaks. That's what these guys call them. That's the Kevin Van Dams. That's the Aaron Martins. The guys who are just naturally gifted.
Yeah.
You can't really explain.
So is Jordan Lee a freak based upon what he's done in the Bassmaster Classic?
He's getting there. So that's a whole group. That's 10% of that outlier group that wins. Then the other 10%, this is no joke, this is what they say, are guys who have no idea what they've gotten themselves into. They don't think. They don't get in their own way. They're not sitting there going, oh, I got $10,000. They're like, holy cow, I'm on it. And they just go out and freaking do whatever they feel like doing. And they don't realize, they're not overthinking. They're so far on the opposite end. And it's not bad. They're just able to block everything out and just go fish and don't feel any pressure. And they're going to win some too because the 80% is going to be going, well, hell no, the fish aren't going to be there because that's not what they're supposed to be doing. That's not the bait you're supposed to catch them on. And these guys will go,
I get it.
This look good. Those are your 3 groups right there.
That's a great point. Now, obviously, it would take a lot of time to do this, and I wish, and maybe someday we will have the time to break this stat down. I would like to do the same thing, except do it on the number of times in the money.
That'd be hard to do.
There is a simple way of doing it, and I'll actually show you after the show, because then you have the comparison on how many times these guys have been deemed successful. And I don't want to get into the whole argument that we're going to have about what is deemed successful. To me, success is getting paid. Bottom line. You can argue that. You can sit there and tell me, oh, no, it's what I've learned. It's the experience that I've gained. Bottom line is, if you got a check, you were successful. Now, there's different levels of success in getting paid. Obviously, if you make more money, more successful. Right? But we got into a heated argument off the show one time about what is deemed success when you don't get a check.
Right.
Now, I don't even get into that. Yeah. Right? But for the young guys that are wanting to do this as their profession once they graduate with their degree, it would be very, very interesting because from a winning standpoint, it's about 1.8% in the greatest anglers in the world based upon every tournament that the Elite Series field has fished. I want to go back and I want to do what we got to do to get that number on how many times these guys in the 2018 Elite Series field have actually cashed a check.
Okay.
All right. So we'll go back and do that. But very, very interesting, and I appreciate you doing that. All right. Let's see here. Let's do this. All right. We have a jam-packed show on Thursday. We're going to go ahead and throw it out there. We're going to have a in-studio guest. We're going to have Brad Hallman in studio with the trophy sitting right here on the...
From his FLW Tour win on Lanier the week before the Classic.
And then I have been in conversations with Jason Christie.
Oh.
And Jason Christie has agreed to come on this show Thursday and discuss what obviously a lot of people have been talking about, his performance the final day of the Bassmaster Classic. I thought I did the right thing. I gave him space. I gave him a little time. I sent him a text, and I said, dude, are you ready to talk about it? And in about 10, 15 minutes, he responded back. He goes, yep, I'll come on the show.
Cool.
So Jason Christie will be on this show Thursday, and I believe it's the first interview that
he posted a self-penned article on a Bassmaster blog.
Yeah, but that was ghostwritten, and
I don't know if it was ghostwritten or not,
and all that stuff. He just basically does that.
Know.
But
sounded like it.
As far as an opportunity for viewers to ask questions and actually engage with Jason Christie, you're going to get that opportunity on Thursday. And then, obviously, we're going to have Brad in studio talk about his win on Lanier.
He's won a Costa and 2 tour events now in the past 4 years.
It's pretty badass.
Yep.
Dude can catch him. All right, and then the second announcement that I want to make, and we're actually going to run a promo for this, is we are in the process. Obviously, the feedback on our 4th documentary, The $1 Million Idea, the untold story of the chatterbait, an enormous amount of feedback. Everybody really, really enjoyed that. And probably the greatest compliment we could have got was the endorsement by Ken Duke. Ken Duke obviously has been in this game numerous years, has been around tackle and
fishing
baits
tackle retailer now.
Yeah, and he said it was one of the best pieces that he's ever seen done on a lure.
So now you're motivated to do another one.
And we're going to do another one. And, folks, I'm telling you, this next one, I am so intrigued. I'm excited. I'm fired up. And it's going to show a totally different side of this game.
This was one, and I'll say before you run the promo, that kind of jumped up and surprised you. It was not on your radar. It was not something that you'd been... But this exact one was not something that you'd been really... exploring for years.
There was one that I was exploring that had similarities to it. But then what happened is somebody clued me in on a better story.
Another story. I wouldn't say a better one. I think there's still legs on the other one you're going to do.
But a more intriguing story. Because of the other factors that are involved that we're actually going to try and discover. And, dude, I'll be honest with you. I've spent the last week really, really working on getting this thing set up. And Matt and I are going on the road in April. We will have, unfortunately, another break. And maybe there's a way that we can do some stuff while we're on the road. But we're actually going on the road for 4 days to shoot a huge part of this next 20 feet deep documentary.
We could do like a Monday, Tuesday show that week.
Yeah.
You gonna run the promo then?
Yeah.
Run the promo, and then can you run some business right after the promo? Because Bobby Lane just texted me that he's in a good spot, good cell service spot. There's no kids with hooks in hands and no fish on the deck right now, so we could probably get him on and talk to him immediately after that.
So here's the promo for the next 20 feet deep, and then we will go into commercials and come back with Bobby Lane.
This is kind of a tease, Mark.
It's a very good tease, though. All right, here we go. Hey, what's up? Did you find him?
The most versatile fishing machine on Earth. Unparalleled resolution and clarity, with more agility, lightning speed, and brute strength. HDS Carbon takes rapid response performance and screen technology to an all-new level. Maximized power, maximized visibility. See Structure Scan 3D, new dual chirp sonar, new live network sonar, and more mapping options, all at the same time and faster than ever before.
Pros depend on hydraulic jack plates to get the best out of their boats. Do what they do. Demand Atlas performance. Atlas gets you from the bottom to the top in less than 8 seconds, even with the big 4 strokes. And when you gotta turn right around and get that heavy load back up in rough water, Atlas's innovative design and American-made components will get you there with confidence.
I'm at Depot. Just look for yourself. There's an Atlas jack plate on just about every professional's boat.
The Atlas hydraulic jack plate. You can depend on it.
My rods look different because they are different. Every rod is built by the pros and for the pros. When you pick up a white Duffet fishing rod, you're getting a cutting-edge rod, one that's truly pro-driven, with the actions you need for every bait category you fish. I put my name on it. It's my promise to build you a great rod you can count on.
Duffet Fishing, Micro Magic, Macro Magic, or White Ice.
Try them. They work.
What's up, guys? Scott Martin here, Team AFCO. Hey, if you want to have a chance to fish with me at a lake near you, well, check out the link below. This could be a lot of fun, guys. More Bassmaster Classic anglers use Lowrance than any other brand. Do you know why? Because it wins you these. 7 consecutive wins by Lowrance angler in the Classic. That's pretty special.
I'm looking for signs before practice even starts. Crossing the bridge, I'm checking for current. Is the lake up or down? What's my watercolor? Bird activity tells me where the shad are before I ever launch my boat. Sometimes the best things hit me right in the face.
The pesky biffle bugs. There's always a hatch on your lake. Made in America by Jean LaRue Lures.
Dang bug juice, it's everywhere.
When I talk about Sunline, I think of one word: confidence.
Sunline FX2 is what I use for all of my frogging and flipping.
SX1 braid, which braid plays a big part in fishing line.
Shooter, I'm going to use in those close quarter deals like flipping and pitching.
One of my favorite techniques in fishing the tournament trail is to fish offshore ledges.
We have taken the questions out of the equation.
Take my word for it. It works. It works, dude.
All right, welcome back. Mark and Matt in studio on a Tuesday, kicking the week off on a nasty day in Oklahoma, dude.
Yeah, it's raining. The golf course is flooded. They had the pumps out where I live there, and they pump all the water out of the golf course. So
your little venture this weekend might incur some Campbell's tomato soup.
Oh, imagine that. I'm going fishing and Jeffrey's finds a negative in it.
I did not. I just said you might find some muddy
I'm sorry
water.
that conditions aren't always ideal, perfect, 72 light breeze when you go fishing. Sometimes you have to go fishing when you're going fishing, Mark. That is why you don't fish anymore.
That's not true.
No, seriously. I have not gone fishing in the past year where there's some catastrophic event that makes you say that it's going to suck. When was the last time I went where you go, oh, dude, it should be really good? Think of the last time you said that. Never.
Last year,
There's always a reason. Oh, I can't believe you're doing that. It's going to be like soup.
Dude, I didn't say that. All I'm saying is when you get 3 inches of rain in Oklahoma, the water turns into tomato soup.
And all I'm saying is...
So more power to you. I wish you nothing but success. Go have fun. Enjoy fishing in the muddy water. All right.
Yeah, we got Bobby Lane on the line here. I think he's somewhere in the salt water. He's probably having.
You there, Bobby?
Yeah, I'm here, guys. I'm here. I'm down in Anna Maria.
Really? What's the target species?
Well, we caught a little everything yesterday: snook, trout, redfish, Spanish mackerel. I do have my family with me, so it kind of gets a little frustrating sometimes when you got an 8 and a 10 and a 14-year-old all trying to cast to the same spot. And if you don't know anything about saltwater, mangroves are not your best friend with a hook.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I have to fish with Jeffries every now and then. So.
Jeez.
So is this an annual trip, Bobby?
We do this a couple times a year. We do get a break, and of course, can't do it early in the year because of the weather. And we'll come again in May and June for a couple of days. But yeah, it's a place that I love down here. The fish are always biting when you figure out the right tide, and my kids love it. There's places for them to go swimming, and the little cottages down here. It's like a little hideaway. I just park my truck and my trailer behind a hotel and hide that thing for 3 days and just go out and relax and enjoy it. I really, really enjoy it.
Well, you've had a rather interesting season. You've had a win to kick things off in the Open. Then you survived the first Elite Series, and then you didn't do well in the Classic. So you've had a win, a survive, and a not so well. And then... So you're probably ready for a vacation there, but just kind of talk a little bit about the first 3 months of 2018 for Bobby Lane.
Boy, I'm telling you, just like you said, it has been up and down. You're right. I started out the first Eastern Open with just a knockout punch there at the Kissimmee chain. I mean, find a group of fish like I did that nobody else found on a lake that I don't fish there much was neat. It was enjoyable, and I was really just tons of momentum. I was pretty sick going into Lake Martin. I had picked up a nasty cold, and of course, driving up to there, I forgot half my warm stuff, and it was cold up there the first morning. I had a miserable first day and a great second day, but still a trip home is all it was, and a little bit of survival. And then the Classic, I really had a good practice. I stayed confident all week, and I think in between cold fronts and the water being up kind of lured me into thinking that the fish that I found were going to bite. And it really wasn't a bad practice at all, and I was on a dock pattern, and that's how the tournament ended up getting won, was on docks. And I really thought if I could survive and make it to the final day and have a chance that even 8 or 9 pounds back wouldn't have been an issue. There was a couple days there that I had a decent practice, but that being said, it was one of my worst Classics. I think it was a lot of guys' worst Classics and some guys' best Classics. It was a grind. I'm ready to get the Elite season started, though. We go to Sabine River, Texas only this year. Kind of going to be jam-packed, but I'm going to go there with confidence. I don't mind tidal water at all and actually love them. First thing is survive the next couple of days down here in Anna Maria with these kids throwing in the mangroves. I don't have any hair as it is, and the little I got is turning gray, green, yellow, everything, because this is frustrating. I thought fishing the Elites was frustrating. This becomes frustrating.
Bobby, answer this however you want to. Is there going to be a big, and Jeffries is going to love this question, luck element at the Sabine? Are we going to see 15, 20 boats in certain areas, and you're going to go, well, why the hell did he just get a bite there? 10 people just fished through it with the same thing.
Guys, I think it has to be that way. When Louisiana was allowed to fish, that spread the field out, let's say it threw 50 of them over in Louisiana. and we watched my brother win last time we were there, around a ton of boats. So yeah, I think it's one of those you have to keep your head down. If you do get some bites in practice, stick with the baits you got and focus on what you're doing and not what anybody else is doing around you. Guys are going to get spun out real quick when a guy catches 2 or 3 and now it's 1 o'clock and he doesn't have one. I think it's going to be the worst weight tournament we probably have ever fished. There'll be more zeros in this one than anyone will fish the rest of the year. And it's really, it's a tough fishery, but it's still going to bring out the best of the fishermen for sure. I do say luck's going to get involved. It's kind of like Florida. You catch 10 pounds or you catch 18, 20 pounds because you got an 8-pounder or a 9 or a 10-pounder. If you could catch a 3 to 5 pounder in the Sabine, it's almost put a couple fish with it and you're going to advance.
Wow.
It's grueling knowing that you have to go into it like that, but you do.
Bobby, is this an event where you're going to spend more time during practice looking or trying to catch fish when the bite is going to be predictably a lot tougher?
That was a question I was expect to hear. Well, number one, you got to find water where they live. The Sabine River, all the way to Houston, all the way to almost to Mobile has just been pounded with rain. I mean, just pounded. It's flooded situation. I don't think the fishery's going to be where it's not fishable at all. It's going to be a matter of making some good decisions in practice and finding some water that's fishable, number one, and number two, that you catch keeper fish in and get some more bites. And yes, the problem is looking around is kind of tough there because those systems are, 20, 30 miles apart. So it ain't like you just, like in Okeechobee, you run from the Monkey Box over to North Shore in 5 minutes. I mean, these are 20, 30-mile differences in between. And then if you go to Houston to practice, you pretty much spent your whole day gone over there. And if that don't work, then you're back to plan B again. And Houston being 140 miles away is, I'm sure some guys are going to run it. I haven't made that decision yet, but it really is. This will be a curveball. It really is, and survival is the mode in Sabine. Realistically, get paid and get out of there. If something good happens, then great. But I don't think anybody can predict what's going to happen there.
I just ran a story on Bass Zone, Bobby, that talks about post-classic performances. Actually quoted you from the 2015 Classic where you finished second and talked about how you basically the rest of the year didn't exist from the time the Angler of the Year Championship was over to the 2015 Classic. You put all of your resources and energy into preparing for that tournament. I assume you did the same thing with this year's Classic again. Is it just a kind of a deal for you where as soon as you make your last cast in the Classic, then the rest of the season starts for you? Or how have you dealt with the fact that, you had to get ready for Martin, then prepare for the Classic, then have this obviously a heavy decision-making tournament on the Sabine coming up? Does that take some of your focus away from Classic prep, or does it take your focus away from the tournament surrounding the Classic, or is really that not an issue at all and you just take it as it comes?
I take most of them as they come. Number one, you never know what you're going to be dealt with. Unfortunately, at the Classic this year, I was prepared. I was ready. I had, the last 2 times we were there, it was miserably cold. The water temp was in the 40s and the water was way down. About 10:30 the first morning of practice, I caught a very healthy 6.5 to 7 pound fish, which is huge for Lake Hartwell. And catching that fish, I think, kind of dialed me into the wrong thing that, I thought it was going to be the right thing, but it was the wrong thing. So I put all my efforts into looking for stuff exactly similar to where I caught that fish and had a few days of decent practice. I think I do put a lot of effort into the Classic. I think it's harder when you mark certain areas, even some I hadn't fished and I just ran and fished them, and you're not getting bit at all. You're not catching a quality fish. it makes it frustrating. I mean, I struggled and struggled in that classic, and we'll put it in the books. It was the guys that fished. I practiced fished some same water that Jason Christie and Greg Hackney did. We practiced on Wednesday together, and it was odd to see them there. And I felt like I was going to catch them in the dirty water, and started in dirty water in the tournament. And then for that to fall south, I'm like, no worries. I got plenty of backup, and the backup didn't work. But yeah, I throw all that out the window. Now it's time to prepare for the elite season. I have not even thought twice about the Classic. I haven't thought twice about Lake Martin. And now it's time to focus on what's going to be a very busy season with the elites and the Eastern Opens. Now that I've won one, I've qualified for the championship, so therefore I have to fish them all, which is one of the trips after the Sabine is going to be a Oklahoma, Kentucky Lake, North Carolina, then to Lake Austin, all back-to-back events. So, those are the ones I want to be prepared for. I feel like my season is just now beginning. That's why I'm down here in Anna Maria getting all my frustrations out with the kids throwing in the mangroves, because I got a long road ahead of me, and a lot of driving and a lot of hopefully good fish catching. I mean, I put everything behind me like the question was, and I really go after them for the elites and try to make a lot of hopefully key decisions, as the year goes on. I've forgotten about the Classic and forgotten about Lake Martin, and now it's time to gear up. I'm still holding on to that Eastern Open win, though. That was cool for me, and I keep using that in some of these tournaments, thinking that it's going to, leap board me into another win, and I'm hungry for another one. But I'm telling you, it was so nice to get that monkey off my back, because I have fought for that Open win for a long, long time.
All right, I want to go to the instant feedback, Bobby. Josh in Missouri wants to know, what are your thoughts about putting a grind event, a very, very tough event, in the Elite Series? Do you like it, or would you rather not have to go through that type of an event?
Those grind events are, you know it's going to be a grind when you get there. Some guys might have it a little easier, but I like those events. I think I like a slugfest too, though. But I like those grind events. You can kind of get in your tackle box and pick it apart a little bit and say, okay, this is the bait that's working. You can get your flipping sticks out. You can get your spinner baits, your what all the stuff that works there, jigs and swim baits and stuff like that. You can get all that stuff out and say, okay, this is what I need to get 5 bites some way, somehow. And once you can trigger one of those, even crankbaits are phenomenal there. Once you trigger a strike there, it to me, it'll build nothing but confidence. If I can catch a 2-pounder, 2.5-pounder, and the fish is healthy and it's in an area that just looks good, I might not make another cast to the day of the tournament. Wow. You have to get that bite first. Last time we were at the Sabine, I zeroed the first day and caught 2 fish the second day as my brother went on to win the event. That was very frustrating, but I've had tough tournaments, and I've had good ones and I've had bad ones. And these grind tournaments are they're really about that tide sometimes. I hate to say it, but that tide is crucial. And I don't know what the tides are going to be with the flooded conditions. And, if I got a fish in a crowd, I don't mind that, but I would rather try to find something off the beaten path that might trigger just enough to get me where I'm comfortable in the tournament. And then, who knows, I might swing for the fences and go all the way to Houston or there's another one down that way that I might trickle over to and just look at it. But I don't mind the grind tournaments. I enjoy the smallmouth tournaments. I enjoy the big largemouth tournaments. And I think we got all of those dealt with us this year. So this is just, there's 100 and whatever elites, 10 or 11. And I'm telling you now, there's not one of them out there that is even thought about giving up. This group is tough, and they are mean, and they don't care about you or the next person next to them. They're all out there to do their job. And, that's the way I'm going to attack the Sabine.
It's interesting. You talked about, you say the smallmouth, and I think that you are one of the most underrated anglers when it comes to consistency and versatility. Just looking at your stats since you started fishing with bass, there's only been one stretch of 3 tournaments where you did not cash a check, where you went 3 tournaments without cashing a check. And then, even though the number of wins isn't there, you've had top 10s on tidal fisheries, on blueback herring fisheries in Michigan, Wisconsin, Texas, Florida, Arkansas, Mississippi. Do you work on your versatility during the off season? Because a lot of people, and me included, I think puts you into the Florida box, but you're really versatile across the entire country. Is that something you're proud of?
Absolutely. Something I've worked hard for, something I've had to learn on my own. I was raised by my grandfather and my father throwing a double horse, a Rapala, and a worm. There was no flipping. There was no drop shotting. There was not even an interest in spinning gear. Abu Garcia, number 1, has the best rods and reels in the world. I can play with all their different stuff. Of course, braid has been huge for me, but I'm very comfortable with a spinning rod, and I never used to be. But I think when I fished FLW for 3 years, believe it or not, that was a huge learning curve for me. I think I was Rookie of the Year and made 3 or 4 top 10s right off the top. The next year I didn't do so well, and the year after that it was horrible, and I made the switch to bass, and that was a big learning curve for me. That was when I really started picking up the spinning rod, and when the shaky head started coming out, and I was getting frustrated on getting beat. And once I started to learn that, the cool thing about fishing is it doesn't matter who's holding the rod and the reel. It's who gets confidence in that rod and reel. When I throw that out there, I know it's the right cast, I know I'm working it right, and I get a bite and I catch it, and it's the right size fish. As opposed to guys that got the exact same equipment, throw it out there, have no idea what they're doing, and then, why are you catching them and I'm not? Why are you catching them and I'm not? I try to build up as much confidence in anything that I'm throwing and learn it. I have taken Yozuri jerk baits behind my house and nothing but jerked for a month straight. I don't care if it's 100 degrees out. I have learned a way that I like to feel the rod, feel the reel. When I do get a bite, lucky for me, it's not unfortunate, but the lake is chock full of bass, so I can detect strikes, learn how they want it, when it's cold, when it's warm, and I play with that stuff all the time. And I think it's just made me a better fisherman. And I'm not scared to jump up and throw everything out the window and do something completely different at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. I get stuck on my ways sometimes, but I'm not scared to get up and make a move. And a lot of times that's the keys for me is when I start somewhere that I haven't even practiced just because it looks good. It's weird and it's odd, but it happens 9 times out of 10 that you end up catching some of your key fish just fishing. And my best days, I look at Lake Martin. I was 104th the first day this year at Lake Martin. The second day I had almost 14 and a half pounds, which was a huge stringer for Lake Martin. And all I did was went fishing. So, I hate getting hung up. Of course, I froze the first day. I really did. I was not properly dressed, and it's not saying that was my fault, but little decisions like that. Would I have done that the second day if I'd have caught them okay the first day? Who knows? But I just threw it all out the window, and I said, I'm getting out in that muddy water, and I'm going to go fishing. And I did what I like to do and fish my strengths, and it worked. I think versatility has come with just a lot of butt kickings over the years. I want to know how I got my butt kicked in that tournament. I want to know different things to try. And once you start learning them and putting them all into your arsenal, you become deadly. And a lot of these anglers are very deadly with a lot of things. You put Van Dam, put a jerkbait in his hand on a jerkbait lake, and I'm not going to beat him. But you know what? I can at least hold my own now when it comes to something like that because I'm comfortable throwing it. So I think over the years I've become a little smarter. And when you get older, I'm 44 just 2 weeks ago, so I'm not a young buck. I've considered myself a veteran, and you try to learn from mistakes and not make them again. And young and dumb was fun, But, I got 3 beautiful kids and a life, and I got to make a living now. And I enjoy the more I'm in it, the more I'm starting to enjoy it. So I wish they would go back to some more grass lakes and where we could really get down and pound and grind and flip and frog and stuff like that. And they probably will over the years. But you take a year like this, and I think we're going to be dealt with, some tougher conditions. And it looks like we're going to chase cooler weather all year for the most part.
Yeah. All right, Bobby. One more question, and then we're going to let you get back to business there on the water with your kids. But you said it. You are a seasoned veteran. You've been in this game for a long time now. What are your thoughts? Were you surprised? Were you impressed with what Jordan Lee was able to do and win back-to-back classics?
Watching him win that second classic in a row, I think it was something that was meant to be. I think watching Jason Christie struggle, we've seen that once before when he found out Edwin Evers had a big stringer in the box. We didn't watch him catch his 5th fish at Grand, and with the 5-pound lead here, I think a lot of guys considered themselves to not even have a chance. I think the angler, what hurt Jason Christie the most was that he blasted him the second day. It gave all the anglers in the top, let's say 20, a shot that says, I can't win, but I'm shooting for a top 5. And you go putting these guys like Matt Lee and Jordan Lee and Edwin and these guys on a body of water where they say, I'm just going to go fishing. I talked to Mark Daniels Jr. after that, and he said every single dock he pulled up to had a fish on it. And unfortunate for Jason Christie, they weren't biting what he was throwing. The final day, they were biting other things, I reckon. But watching Jordan Lee win, he went out there knowing that he never had a shot to win that event. We've watched Jason Christie come back from some, top 12s in the elites and smash them on the final day. Potomac River, Grand Lake, a few other places we've been where he's just come in with giant fish and come back from nowhere to win. And I think that's the way Jordan Lee went at it. Is I can't win, but I'm going to go out there and fish everything I know. I feel sorry for Brent Ayler because he had an amazing day, but
yeah.
Jordan Lee earned it. He had a great classic, and he went out there, I really think, knowing he did not have a shot to win, and when it all came down to it, he won his second Bassmaster Classic, and the kids he told me after he won, he goes, I can't win a frickin' elite tournament, but I can dang sure win 2 classics. He said, I've led elites before. He did it Detroit there and came in with just a few fish on the final day.
Yeah.
And Jason Christie ended up getting him. But, it's his time. It's his time. I think it's, he fished his butt off. He came in with more weight than the leader did. So, it was those guys in the back are the ones you see. The wire-to-wires are tough. They're tough.
Yep.
Now the guys in the middle, I think, are the ones you got to watch out for. It's obvious the guys from 3rd to 6th place are the ones that, or 10th place, are winning tournaments now because the other guys are too hung up on what they're doing, and I've been down that road before. But congratulations to Jordan Lee. What an awesome representative he is for bass and for Bassmaster Classic, and he supports his brands well, and I'm glad to know him, and I couldn't be more excited for the guy.
All right, cool stuff. One last question, Bobby, since you said this, and there was some discussion at the Classic press conference on the final day as to whether or not guys would want to know where everybody stands in the standings.
The Bass Track.
Yeah, what's your take on that? Would you want to know, or would you just want to fish and not know?
Man, I'm telling you, that's a good question. When I'm catching them, I want to know if I'm even close to winning or close to losing. But that always, of course, keeps you going. I would say I really don't want to know where I'm at in the tournament. If I'll put it to you this way. If you're in a Classic and you're catching them, and out of nowhere, some boats start showing up to watch you and they don't leave, that's a good sign that you've made a move.
Yeah.
And we see that in the elites also, but not as much. I mean, they want to follow the elites want to follow the leaders, and they follow the local guys, and that's it. In a Classic, if you're just out there doing your own thing and I remember this in 2015. I was like in 7th or 8th place, and I caught a 6.6 on the final day. And when I caught that fish, I guess I'd had a good limit already, and that 6.6 didn't hurt anything. And all of a sudden, boats started showing up, and drones started flying around me, and questions were getting asked, and cameras were flying, and I'm like, okay, I got a feeling that 6.6 put a ding in somebody's program.
Yeah.
And I catch another one like that, and I had a feeling that was that had me either in the lead or close to it, and you know, first day I was so far back it was hard to come back from, but once again we watched that happen in this classic. Same thing, go down, guy from the back comes up, had a bad day, didn't think he had a shot to win, and you know, I had 4 fish in 15, and Christy had 4 fish on the final day here. So although Lake Hartwell is a wonderful lake and it's loaded with bass, it's not always the easiest thing to catch that fit fish. But I am not a huge fan of Bass Track. I love to look at it when I'm not fishing or when I come in to weigh in. But, you know, we got a job to do, and we got 7 or 8 hours to do it. The Classic is an event all by itself, so I don't know, guys. That's a tough one. I don't think I'd want to know ever where I'm at. I just want to know that I'm winning the event when I come in.
Last question. Are we talking shrimp, fiddler crabs, squid, greenbacks? What are we working with here, Bobby?
White bait, guys. White bait. The white bait is tough right now. The grass isn't growing on the flats, but the bait I have caught in the net has been big. We caught some beautiful snook yesterday. My daughter caught a 25-inch trout. It was like 9 pounds, her biggest
Holy
one. She
cow.
caught her first. Oh yeah, giant. She caught her first redfish. We caught some more beautiful trout after that, a few Spanish mackerel. I went and loaded up on bait again this morning. The crew slept in, so I came back in to pick them up here at the little cabin we're at, and then we're heading back out. The tide's starting to come in, but white bait is the deal. If you want those big snook, you get you a couple handfuls of those. Send those things up into the mangroves and let them trickle down, and once you see a few snook pop, put on some 20-pound spider wire and a 40-pound leader and get ready, because you'll get your arm broke more times than you're going to get the fish in, but they are so fun to fish for.
All right, man. Bobby, take care. Looking forward to seeing you at Grand Lake, man.
Hey, I'm looking forward to being there. That's in a couple of weeks, too.
Yep. All right, have fun with the family, man.
I will. Thank you, guys.
All right,
appreciate
take care.
everything.
All right, there you have it, Bobby Lane.
You want to know what one of the most underrated skills is?
In fishing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Throwing a damn cast net.
Can you do that?
If there's a lot of bait and it's like a 6 to 8 foot net,
yeah,
I can. When you get to where you're holding it in your mouth,
yeah,
and then you've got that and you're doing the spin thing and it's like a 12-foot net, no. No, that's like, no.
It's fun. It's fun,
It
especially
is.
down at Texoma.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's how the striper guides. If you're going to go striper fishing and you want to fish with live bait, that's what you got to do.
That's a skill. That is a skill. If you let me say this: if you're around an area where people live bait fish, and you want to get invited to go fishing on other people's boats, if you don't learn how to throw a big cast net. And then let's invite Bob. That guy can throw a 12-foot net. We'll get bait.
He'll get all the bait we need.
can't stand him, but that guy can catch some bait. I'm not kidding.
When's the last time you've thrown a cast net?
I threw.
Did you do it when you were in Florida on vacation?
No,
last time?
no. I threw cast net out at Thunderbird last year, trying to catch shad to go drift the flats for blue cats.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I got it stuck in the rocks. It was Jared Miller's cast net.
You rip it to shreds.
And then I had to take my pants off and go down off the dock and swim down underneath and try to get the...
Too much information.
Oh, you want to hear a story about taking your pants off fishing? I got one from this week.
I was save
fishing,
that one.
No,
for
no, it's
Thursday.
real quick. I was fishing with my girlfriend at the pond.
And you're taking your
keeps
pants off?
Oh yeah. So she's throwing a Cinco, and I just got it on straight braid on a spinning rod, and I'm showing her how to do it, and I make a long cast, and I go, there's a bite, and I was going to set the hook and hand her the rod. Well, I set the hook, and the line breaks in the reel. So now there's this long line trailing. Well, about 10 minutes later, she's fishing again, and she's like, I think I got one, but not really. And then you see her bait pop up, and she's wrapped around the line of the fish that I had hooked that's swimming around the pond now. So it's got 30 feet of line. You see her bait out in the middle of the air, but every time she pulls on it, the bait slides further down the line that's free, right? So I end up...
all while you have your pants off.
No. I'm completely clothed at this point. So it gets to the point where you can see the tag end that is swimming around with the fish is about a foot from her Cinco. So if she pulls on it anymore, it's going to pull off and we're not going to have it. So I strip down.
Catch the fish?
Listen, I strip down, I swim out, I grab the line that still is attached to it from where I broke off, and then I hand line it in, 5-pounder. That's teamwork there.
And then the party ensued, didn't it?
I'll show you. I got the video.
Wow. All right, everybody. We will be back on Thursday. A killer show on Thursday. Brad Hallman in studio. And then Jason Christie will be calling in. So very excited about Thursday's show as we progress toward the next Elite Series event at the Sabine River. And going to be a grind, dude.
I didn't even get to talk about anything I wanted to talk about. We're going to go at it about Grand Lake and Randy Blockett's post, and I went to the wonderful wild world of wonders and wildlife in Springfield, Missouri.
We'll get into that Thursday.
It was good times. We had a great show. Big thanks to Bobby Lane, who I'm sure he had kids going, seriously, Dad?
Yeah.
I'm ready to go out and catch some snook.
Very nice. All right, everybody, back on Thursday. Stay tuned. Be safe. We'll talk to you in a couple of days.